Otherwise, I won't know that you're here. Come on. Tonight, we're talking about building sentences. Hello. We're talking about building sentences. And you know me already. I am not going to do the obvious thing, which would be to teach you the order that you're supposed to, that you're supposed to put the words and, all of the theory behind building a sentence. The reason why I'm not going to do that to you and with you tonight is because you don't need me for that. Really, there are so many videos on YouTube telling you how to create and build a sentence. But what I feel, hello everybody, what I feel that you really, really need to do with me together tonight is to begin to understand why it is indeed so hard for you to build a sentence. So before we go into how we actually build a sentence, I will give you some practical tips as well, okay? But this is not the most important thing. And I think this is one of the biggest problems, is that we actually think the most important thing is to know all of the rules so that we can build a sentence. But what I'm really setting out to do here tonight is, instead of doing that, because that is just lots of theory, I'd rather come here and share some thoughts I have with regards to making up a sentence, okay? Making up a sentence is exactly the same as building a sentence. So this is what we're going to do, okay? I am going to, in this session we're having together tonight, I am going to talk to you about 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I believe make your life harder when it comes to building a sentence. I'm going to do this. And I'm also going to point out some classic mistakes, okay? So the first thing I want to do is, I know you need this class. Everyone does. It's a very important life. And there will be more about this, okay? There will be more about this. So the first thing is that we think, and you're going to tell me if I'm right, okay? So I'm going to tell you what I believe you think, because I thought this too. And you will tell me yes if you think I'm right, if this is true, or no if you don't think this is true, okay? Because I want to see how you guys feel about this, all right? So I believe that the number one thing we need to think about is how we normally think to be able to make a sentence, I need words. So I need to increase my vocabulary because I need words to be able to make a sentence. Is this how you feel? Like you need words? You think that building a sentence is completely connected to learning words? Please say yes if you agree with this, and no if you don't agree with this, okay? Yes or no, I want to see. Do you believe that, for building a sentence, I need words, I need vocabulary, and vocabulary is completely connected to lots of words. The more the better. Words, so many words. Is that how you feel? Yeah. Yes, I think that's how you feel, right? Okay. Cool. Words in general, Marina, I mean like words in general. I'm not giving a grammatical term, just words in general. Okay. However, I am going to suggest to you kindly that instead of, number one thing that you're going to try to change, okay? Instead of considering words to be the most important thing for building a sentence, you're going to start to understand that, in fact, the most important thing is words in a sentence. What I mean is, just words are great. Just a word. When you learn just a word, You see a word in a book, in a movie, in a series, you hear me say this word somewhere and you love it. And you take that word and you think, okay, now I've got this word now, it's amazing. Words are great, they really are great. Words in a sentence are better. So if you think words are great, which they are, words in a sentence are better. What I mean is, you will feel, and I really think this applies to almost everybody, okay? You will feel that you are able, that you can build sentences better when you understand that learning a word by itself, just the word, is great, but learning that word within a sentence in a context is so much better, because you take that word and you already learn that in something that makes it easy for you to apply when you are trying to speak. So what I mean is, a lot of the time we think, okay, I really need to start watching things without subtitles in English. This is probably what you think, right? I don't want to be watching things with subtitles in English. It's not good for me. It's not good for me. I want to watch things with no subtitles at all. And I say to you, yeah, that's wonderful. Really, it is. However, when you're trying to work on learning how to build a sentence, that's not the best strategy. Because when you watch something with English subtitles, you see the sentence, okay? And what happens a lot of the time when you're watching things without subtitles, which is great, but not to help you with learning how to build sentences, okay? We're talking about different things that watching with or without subtitles can be good for. And what I mean is that watching without subtitles is going to help you in your comprehension skills and kind of getting what they're saying quickly, which is amazing and so important, but that's not what I'm here to talk about tonight. When you watch something with subtitles, you see the word that you heard in that sentence, you see clearly the structure. However, when you're watching something without subtitles, you hear the word and you understand the sentence, you understand the context of what's being said, but you don't learn structure at all because you can't see it. You can't see it. And which is why reading is so important, right? Because when you're reading, you can see the structure, you can see the order of the words. So the number one thing I want you to understand is that words are great. Learning words are great, but learning words in a sentence will help you to understand structure. We're going to talk more about this when I get to number 4, because then there's something very important I have to say, but I'm going to say that last because it's not going to make as much sense if I say it now, okay? So that's the first thing I want you to think about. Now listen, hold on, I've got so much to say. Hold on. Right. Okay. You guys, a lot of you guys have been following me for a long time. And I think this must have been about a year ago. I think it was a year ago, if not a year, like 10 months ago, a long time ago, that during a live, I actually mentioned this theory that I had created, that I'm sure somebody else created too, because we never create something alone, do we? Which was the CC theory. Do you guys remember? Did any of you guys watch this live where I spoke about the CC theory? Please say yes or no. If anybody, yeah? Cool. And this is it, right? The CC theory, if you haven't watched it, if you're new here, is this theory that I kind of came up with, which is about copying and creating. So you cannot, and if you think about this, you're going to see that it's actually very simple, right? And very obvious too. okay? Which is first you copy and then you create. So you cannot expect, and guys, this is so simple and so overlooked. Nobody thinks about this. And to me, it's like, why are you not thinking about this? This is so important. You guys are frustrated that you can't build sentences well when you spent literally no time at all copying sentences, which means copying literally, okay? Pen and paper, copying sentences that you see on subtitles, that you see in a blog, on a book, etc. Really copying. And copying in a sense that you hear and you repeat exactly that same thing without wanting to be different, without wanting to be yourself. Because in order for you to get to the top of the mountain, to the end of your hike, the English hike that you guys must have heard me talking about, there is this route that you kind of have to follow where you sometimes find yourself being somebody else because it's not your language. And for you to be able to speak in a way that really just sounds like you're going to have to copy a lot of people for you to understand how the language works. You have two options, and that's for you to decide, okay? You can either, so two options. You can either do that, which is really just focusing on copying, and then creating later when you're ready. Or you can sit down for years and try to learn all of the grammar rules for creating sentences and end up not really speaking because the rules kind of stop you from being able to create a sentence, right? So there are really only two ways about this. You're either going to do it the easy way, which is copying and then eventually creating, or you're going to do it the crazy way, which is learning all the rules. But this is your decision. I can only tell you that I think one is easy and one is crazy, but that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Really, it's my opinion. So this is it. So remember the CC theory when it comes to sentence structure. A lot of people say to me, Patricia, how can I learn to write better? I'm like, are you copying? I mean, have you ever opened a book in English and just copied a page? No. I'm like, how do you expect to be able to write if you're not copying anything? Do you remember when you guys were little, when you were about from 8 to about 11 at school? I think more actually, maybe I'm wrong. From about 8 to I think 12 or 13 at school, there used to be lots of copying in Portuguese. Do you remember when you went to school? The teacher used to give you like 2 or 3 pages from a book, a textbook about history or geography to copy. Do you remember that? I mean, why do you think she did it? 2 reasons. Because you were learning structure and because you were learning about that particular subject. And you don't think you're going to do it in English? Why? You think you're just going to learn miraculously? I mean, like those things are so clear and they're so obvious and no one's talking about this and no one's thinking about this. And I'm like, hello. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, number 2, right? I told you there were 4. Number 2 problem is translating. That is a problem when you don't know structure. I think translating is a great thing, and I think translating will happen and should happen because it's your second language. So obviously you will kind of turn to your first language for help sometimes, and sometimes you will simply want to translate something, like something that happened today. I'm going to tell you what it was in a minute. You will feel that you want to translate this beautiful sentence or saying that you saw in Portuguese into English or vice versa, okay? And that's brilliant. I'm not saying, don't go saying, oh, Patricia thinks you can't translate, because that's ridiculous. Of course you can and you should. But first, you need to do lots of copying. Because if you go translating, you're going to translate words. You're not going to translate meaning. And what happens with that is that basically translation becomes impossible and makes you feel, when you realize just how bad your translation is, it will make you feel like you know no English at all. And you will be hating yourself because you're doing things in the wrong order. When I was learning, translating was the last thing on my mind. I didn't even think about translating ever. First time I thought about translating ever, like for real, the first time I thought about translating was when I came to Brazil for holiday. So I'd been living in England for a year and a half. And I came to Brazil for the first time for holiday, for a month here, a month and a half, I think. And I was with a friend, and I actually wrote a post about this on Instagram about a year ago. And she asked me to translate this song that she loved. It was the first time I translated something. And it was a horrible translation. I was wrong. But do you see what I mean? I was not thinking about translation, because to me, it was always like Portuguese, English. So one day, when they're ready, they'll meet and they'll be friends. Not yet. So until this time comes, when is this time in a practical way? When you feel like English is a part of your life. You know, you can watch something in English. This is okay. You can have a conversation with somebody in English. This is okay. You know, if you work and you use English for work, it's not a problem for you. This is what I mean, right? Until this day comes, they don't meet, okay? Portuguese is here, English is here, they don't meet. When this day comes, they're ready to meet and be friends, and that's fine. And we want this day to come so badly, but we need to wait, because if we don't, what happens is you start translating things in a crazy way, completely insane, which does not help you to form sentences in English. Instead, what you do when you're translating from Portuguese to English, from English to Portuguese as well, but mostly Portuguese to English, okay? What happens is you're not working on your structure at all. You're just guessing. You're just like, okay, this word, this is the word in English. Word in Portuguese, word in English. And I'm like, no, don't do this to yourself, because it's going to be confusing at the end of the day. I'm going to give you an example from today. One of my students from 100 Days asked me to check a translation she'd done for a tiny sentence, like two sentences actually. It was really small. And I was talking to her about translation, and the sentence in Portuguese was tudo tem sua hora. I think it was tudo tem sua hora. I don't remember. Let me check. I want to tell you exactly what it was, because I wasn't even going to say this tonight. Tudo na vida tem seu tempo. This was the sentence, okay? And she translated it, and then she asked me to translate it, and I translate it as, there's a time for everything. And then it's like, where is life? Vida? Life. Where's life in the sentence? It disappeared. Yeah. For my translation, because understand this as well, there are so many different ways to translate something, right? There are so many different types of translators. And also, I'm not a translator, I'm a teacher. Different skills, okay? But then you're thinking, okay, tudo na vida tem seu tempo. Okay, vida, life, tempo, time. Okay, I got these. This is... You see, with my translation, which was there's a time for everything, there was no life there. Because in English we say there's a time for everything. So then translation, which is why I said to you, wait until you're ready for English and Portuguese to meet and be friends. Wait for this time. Don't start doing it before you're ready, because then you won't be able to see that, okay, life, vida. Okay, I got it, fine. But sometimes it's about the meaning of the sentence that you're trying to say. And it's not about the words in the sentence, you know? So this is important. I'm going to give you another example about another example about translation for you to see exactly what I mean and what happens when you're trying to build a sentence and things go wrong. Okay, especially for my beloved Brazilian people. So the sentence is, and I will have to say the sentence in Portuguese, obviously, for you to understand what I'm trying to tell you, okay? Preciso levantar da cama. This sentence, right? Preciso levantar da cama. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to say this sentence in English. And you're like loving yourself and you're going to do this. And then you go, okay, preciso levantar da cama. So you go, okay, preciso need, lift from the bed. Right? Is that all right? No? All right? Right? All right? Yeah, that's the problem. No, of course it's not. No. I need to get out of bed. Get out of bed? No, Patricia, you're wrong. Because, no, that doesn't make sense. Because I know, Patricia, no. Because I know levantar is lift. I know. I'm like, yeah, you lift a box. Exactly. Well done. But you don't lift from the bed. That does not happen. Okay? This is the problem with sentence structure as well. One of the problems with sentence structure. There are so many ways to say it. I gotta get up. Yes, that's fine. I need to get up. Yes, I gotta get out of bed. Yes, all of these things work. But sentence structure, a lot of the time, is very, very linked to you accepting things that you're not ready to accept. What do I mean by that? I mean understanding that this is another language. And I find personally that I learned this lesson very quickly. Okay, that to me, it was one of the first things I learned to stop asking stupid questions to myself, not to people, to myself. I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me. I think I said this already. I don't remember, maybe. Right. I was talking to this lady that worked in the school that I went to in England, right? She was British. So I was talking to her, and I had been in England for like 2 months. So my English I was starting to learn some words. I just like picked up words, and it was really crazy. The beginning was insane. So it was bad. And I was talking to her, and I said this, okay? I will go do. I said, I will go do. I said to her, really, I did. Said that to her. Said, I will go do. And she said to me, I will do. And I said, no, I will go do. I corrected her. Who does that, really? Exactly. I did. I corrected her. So that I didn't know English. I was starting to say some words, some things that I heard that I thought, okay, this I think makes sense. And there's a native speaker, an adult, I was 15, she was a grown-up, telling me, no, Patricia, it's I will do. And I'm like, no, I will go do. She's like, oh my God, no. This happened to me as well. And I learned this lesson. I remember this. It's a long time ago. And I remember this specific time because I was embarrassed. And because I think that was the time I understood that Portuguese and English, they can't mix. Not now, anyway. They can in the future, not now. Which was important. It was a very important lesson for me. I hope you can learn from that too. Now, what I want to say is about, hold on, I need to organize my thoughts. Okay. Number 3 problem. Problem number 3 is you ignore the basics. Let's have a moment of silence to think about this. Like, for real now. Most people I know ignore the basics because there is this crazy anxiety, like rush to be able to make up long sentences, to say something really complex, to have a discussion in English, that people forget that they don't know really know how to use do, does, did, verb to be, have, what else, can, could. They don't really know. They think they know. They guess. I think this is what I should say now, so I'm just gonna do it. And without those things, pay attention, without basics, without really knowing the basics, and I'm not telling you to sit down and learn the rules. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to start listening and watching stuff with English subtitles and watch Peppa Pig. I've told you this before. You're not listening. I have told you. Now, without really knowing the basics, there is no good structure. There is no possibility of saying a sentence well with a good structure. There is no possibility of a good structure without knowing the basics. It's not going to happen. It's practically impossible. And I'm going to give you an example of that for you to know, 2 examples of that for you to know exactly what I mean. And you will probably be guilty of them, probably. So my examples are, okay, number 1, I hear this a lot, okay? If it's a negative sentence, I see people just using don't. Like, okay, negative present, don't. And I'm like, no, not always. I'm going to give you an example from a sentence for you to see. I hear sentences like this, okay? I spoke to her. Listen, Gabriel, I'm so serious, really. I spoke to her. I forgot my sentence, I had to read, sorry. I spoke to her about don't buy it. I spoke to her about don't buy it. I hear this sometimes. I do. And then I'm thinking, I understand why. Totally, guys. I understand why you do that. Because for some reason when you're speaking, you think, okay, negative present don't. Right? Wrong. In fact, I spoke to her about not don't, just not. I spoke to her about not buying it. Another big problem with sentence structure is ing. Because for some crazy reason, someone one day told you ing is continuous action. And that's all you think it is. And I keep telling you, it's not. But no one's listening to me really, are they? So an ing is part of the basics. You know, when I said don't ignore the basics, ing is on that list. Without really knowing ing, there is no good structure. Believe me, there is no good structure without ing. It doesn't exist. It's impossible, really. It's not going to happen. So it needs to be at the top of your list, okay, of your priority list, really. Another one with the don't problem. I'm trying, don't do this. I'm trying, don't do this. I'm like, no. I'm trying to not do this. You can say to not do or not to do, okay? I'm trying to not do this, or I'm trying not to do this. There is no don't there. And this is a classic basic mistake. Listen to yourself and you'll see what I mean. You'll see that you probably do this too sometimes. The next one I want to say, which is another classic mistake. This one is super classic when it comes to structure, okay? Really important is, I'm going to tell you the sentence before I tell you what the mistake is. I don't know, how can I do this? Classic sentence, classic mistake. I don't know, how can I do this? This is not a question. It's just a sentence. It's not a question. You're not asking anything. You're not asking me anything, are you, with this sentence? No, you're not. So why did you say, how can I do this, if it's not a question? I don't know, but you do. Really, let's face it. Listen, this is what I mean about nailing the basics, really knowing the basics, okay? The problem is that we tend very, generally speaking here, most people tend to learn with like set little things. So we go, how can I find, I don't know, like, let me think of a sentence that you might learn from one of your books that you read. How can I do this? Okay. How can I speak to her? How can I find a job? How can I clean this pan? I don't know. How can I cook this? This little structure, how can I, is not a set thing. So it's only how can I if it's a question. If it's not a question, it's I don't know. Listen, I don't know how I can do this. It's not a question. So this is super classic, and how can I is just an example. It's just an example, okay? But this happens a lot with how and words that come after in a question structure when it's not a question. And then this is super basic. If this is not clear and you can't do this almost like not automatically, but smoothly, then complex sentences won't happen. They just can't, right? Now, number 4 is last but not least. It's so important. And this to me is so important. I don't know if you guys understand. I don't know if you guys agree, but it's my opinion, so I'll tell you. Number 4 is why? Why? Why, Patricia? Have breakfast? Why? Why have breakfast? Get lost? Why get lost? Why? What's the other one? Make an excuse? Why make an excuse? Stop asking why. Don't hate me now. Being honest with you. Why are you asking why? It's a very simple and obvious answer. It's because it's another language. Another language, another structure. And if you're not ready to accept the fact that it's another structure, I don't know. Because really, how are you going to learn structure if you're not ready to accept that it's another language with another structure. I'm always wondering, like I'm always thinking, I'm always like, wondering why people ask me these questions. Why are you, like when people ask me this question, what I really want to say is, why are you wasting your energy on this instead of just learning the bloody thing? Why do you need to know why? Are you a linguist? Are you? You're not, are you? Exactly. You don't need to know why. I don't know why. It's the language. They say have breakfast. They say get lost and make an excuse and have a moment and get sick and have a meeting. That's what they say. So you want to change the language because you don't agree? Because you think it's too hard? No. You're not going to learn structure like that, guys. Like, you know, really. And I say that because I love structure. Structure is my thing. I love it. And when I'm reading, yeah, you're right, Nathan, you're right. When I'm reading, and you guys know I like reading, I'm always paying attention to structure, you know, and it's just, I find it so fascinating. And I noticed how my learning happens, how my learning happened, and how it keeps on happening now. And I realized that it's so much about listen to this, observation together with acceptance. You know, I accept English really well, I think. And I think this is one of the things you guys should start thinking about. I accept it as a language that is completely different to my language and that it's beautiful in its own way. And I'm not asking these questions ever. I'm always like, okay, let me observe this. This is how it is, right? Okay, I'm not even connecting to Portuguese, guys. There is literally, I am making no connections, you know? So I think it's totally possible for you to train yourself to not make connections, okay? What can I copy for my English tonight? I like this question, Regina. Well done. Right, you can copy so many things, okay? Just little suggestions for things you can copy for you to start looking at the structure and start to remember, observe, and accept. Okay, I'm not saying you don't need reasons for anything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying when it's a set structure, there is no reason. It's because it's another language. You know, there is no reason why we say have breakfast. There is no reason for that. We just do. Right, so you can copy. You can watch something with English subtitles and copy. Not the whole episode because it's going to be exhausting. But say you watch one episode of Pepper, which is 5 minutes long, and you copy the subtitles. Why Pepper? Does it have to be Pepper? I hate Pepper. No, it doesn't have to be Pepper. But it is an interesting strategy to do this with things that are designed for children because of the basics that we keep on ignoring. That's why. So supposedly, one episode of Pepper copies, say, 15 sentences from the subtitles, or 10. If you don't want to do something for children because your English, you feel like your basic English is, you know, good and you've worked on it, you can do something else. You can watch anything with subtitles on and just copy some subtitles. If you have a book in English, like if you literally have a book in English, you can copy a page. You can go to a blog called, I've recommended this before, Darius Farrow, which is this, Darius Farrow, his blog, okay, and copy a paragraph, just a chunk from his article, which is great. Copy the news if you want. I find it really boring to do in terms of copying exercise. I don't like it. But if you do, by all means, go for it. The most important thing with copying is that it becomes a part of your routine, that you do it almost every day. You can really just do it, say, like 3 sentences, but that you're learning from those structures, you see. It's so much better to sit down and just write 3 sentences that you've copied than watch, I don't know, 5 episodes from series in English thinking that you're learning, you know? So always remember your strategy, okay? And this is it. This is what I wanted to say. Do you think it's a good idea to watch Friends in English 3 times for each episode? Yeah, but do you want to do that? I don't know. It might be boring. 3 times for each episode? I don't know. I think it's good to repeat. I really do. I think this is great to watch something and then rewatch another time. Rewatch it. I think that's great. But 3 times? I don't know. Twice? Maybe? Not on the same day. Give it time. Then we watch. That's quite cool. What does by all means mean? Like go for it. Yeah, no probs. You know, by all means do. Not a problem. Do it. Okay. So this is what I wanted to say tonight. My goodness, I've been here for 40 minutes. What is happening? Thank you for being here. I hope it's been useful. I hope you appreciate my honesty. And I hope that you understand that at the end of the day, there are changes that need to be made in order for you to get better results. Okay. And I just listed 4 things that you do need to think about in order to be able to change. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Have a wonderful evening. See you later. See you next week. Next week on Instagram, don't forget. Bye, guys.